All right, so it was maybe a week ago, and I was going to another section in my job, and my supervisor comes up to me and she's like, "Yo, did you hear what just happened?" And I'm like, "The girl getting mad?" She's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Who was it?" So she describes it to me, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." So basically, one of my friends was just kind of, doing his job, standing around, minding his own business. And then he was talking to some other lady. And out of nowhere, the girl that got upset turns around and just starts screaming shit like, "I'll fucking kill you, blah blah blah, stop fucking talking to me." But like, he wasn't even talking to her, so he's like, "What are you talking about?"
Okay, so diplomacy failed here, clearly. Nat one's all around.
She failed the intimidation check. So she gets up and like gets into his face, nose to nose. She's just like, "I'll fucking kill you, blah blah blah."
That's funny because in Eskimo culture, as I understand it, like they got this thing called the Eskimo kiss, where you touch noses and just kind of like rub them around a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as they're up at that point, like, wait a minute, she's like nose to nose, right? So is this like when you're at like a college party with a bunch of those little frat dudes and they kind of like get a little heated and they get in that like intense nipple rubbing contest?
Chest bumping and everything.
Yeah, like, "Hey, you can't rub nipples better than me, bro."
Look, my solution to that situation: what, you want me to kiss you? Don't do it.
Don't try me.
Catch him off guard. Like, boy, I'll kiss you right now. Gets him every time.
Or when people start trying to take off like their shirt to be really intimidating, like, you just unbuckle your pants and push them down. Ends it 99% of the time.
It's a
look. I made a post on Facebook today. I said, if I get robbed, I'm just gonna get naked. You can't rob a man with his dick out. Checkmate robbers.
The first time I was getting into Tabletop, this was years ago, back when I was homeless and living in a church. I got my hands on a copy of a GURPS book, right? So I'm going through it and reading things, and one thing that always stuck with me is this little feature called bulletproof nudity.
Okay.
You get an AC bonus because people don't like to look at a naked person when they're fighting.
Have you heard about some general or whatever that would have all his soldiers and himself fight naked and just like coated in the blood of their enemies? They would just run people down. Like,
I'm not sure if this is like a World War II general with a fetish or a Spartan technique, because
it was definitely a fear tactic and it worked.
I feel like it could. Absolutely.
I'm going with it Scottish just because the Scots, man, they would be the ones more likely to do that than anybody else.
And canceled.
And actually, there was a group, kind of a precursor to our barbarians in D&D, who would run at people naked, and they would become so excited for the battle, they'd be running at them hard while naked.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. You unsettle your enemies so much that they don't know how to react. You got this whole like surprise round, basically.
Well, I mean, as soon as there's an erection involved, suddenly you go from it's a fight to this guy might actually rape me.
And this guy apparently killed hundreds of thousands of people by using this tactic, and I guess it works.
Hundreds and thousands of people running away from swagging blood dicks can't be wrong, I guess.
Allegedly.
Honestly, if wagging bloody erect dicks are coming at me, yeah, I'm out of there. Not even no, I'm gone.
Did we make it 30 seconds before we demonetize ourselves?
No,
monetization.
I think we lost monetization at the first fuck.
I mean, we're not anyway, but like.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Damn. So should we start the show?
Let's kick off the intro.
You know what? We're starting it. He's rocking out.
Hell yeah!
And welcome to Dungeons and Talkshows, the talk show that brings you dungeons, news, and homebrews. With me today in the studio, as always, is our co-host, Sam.
Welcome back.
How's it going?
It's going good. I'm feeling good about this one.
We got a special guest in studio today.
We do.
Why don't you tell everybody in the audience about yourself?
Hey, yo, it's Casey Lund, also called Chris. I am a longtime player of Dungeons and Dragons. We're talking 15, 17 years. And I've been friends with these guys for a little while. It's been great. We've been playing some. And, yeah. That's what I got.
Yeah, it's been a wild time. I mean, I think the second to last session that we had with you, you lost one of your characters to a 5-headed goose hydra thing.
This is
okay.
True.
Look, the 5-headed goose hydra. I'm not at fault for. That thing had way too many attacks.
I don't think anyone's at fault for that.
And being the only melee character, yeah, it didn't work well.
In his defense, it did score 2 crits.
yeah, that is something to be said right there. Like,
other than that, I think you could have probably took it on for a while at least.
yeah, it was wild.
Which is why you noticed the next character I created was a ranger.
As a ranger.
Oh, please do the thing.
Never get close to 10. All right. So the ranger I created was a little owlin gloomstalker. And his name was Grimfeather. Ooh, spooky.
It's so good. My brother, after hearing that once, he's like, please, give me an audio file that I can use for my messenger. Every time I get a message, and it's just like, after that, every time he's like in a store, someone sends him a message on Facebook or something, and you'll just hear all down the aisle, my name is Grimfeather. Ooh, spooky.
Look, man, I gotta ask. We love Grimfeather. Is he coming back to the campaign anytime soon?
He will be. I had some stuff I had to get figured out, hectic life. But things are starting to calm down now, so hopefully Grimfeather will be able to make his return.
Nice.
Well, he's a flighty bird, so I think coming and going works out just fine.
Definitely,
Yeah, he refuses to go inside, especially in caves.
Especially if you have a reason, like while he left, and like, hey guys, I'm back. Like,
yeah, everyone was getting ready to go in a cave. Of course, they're not following. Too enclosed in there.
yeah, even Neferet's new bird, that's our druid, which he tamed, doesn't like to go into caves and underground and stuff like that.
It's too cramped.
Yeah. I mean, my character was perfectly fine with it, but,
It's too cramped, too spooky, even for Grimfeather. No.
Well, when Grimfeather does come back, you do have a level up in your hands.
Ooh, level 6.
Nice. That is going to be the first level of fighter for Grimfeather.
Oh, shit.
We got some interesting multi-classes in this party.
Yeah, I got some multi-class, but, that's me.
We got the Barbarian Rogue, the Wizard Rogue, the Arcane Archer Fighter.
Yeah,
it's a whole lot.
Yeah, a
party.
Gloomstalker gets that extra attack on their first round.
Oh yeah.
If you get that second level of fighter and you action surge, that's 6 attacks. 7 if you have crossbow expert. So, a little crazy. A lot of fun.
The way I placed out the enemies in that one fight was just perfect for Grimfeather.
Might I suggest one thing that you might have a little bit of fun with? Have you looked at the one D&D playtest at all? We talked about it a little bit last week.
Oh, which one? I've done some of the playtests, but yeah, like the one I had the most fun with was the extra first level feat for everybody. And there's some really fun options there.
Oh, absolutely. I'm talking specifically about Paladin. seeing as they made it so your divine smites can apply to ranged weapons. So ranged paladin is on the table now.
Oh, I've been waiting for a ranged paladin.
Grimfeather becomes a paladin.
Yeah, so you already got spell slots as a ranger, half caster plus half caster. They're starting out with having spells at first level, so that's part of the playtest here. I think you could have a lot of fun with a little bit of that, because you'd be flying around, you get some of that paladin bullshit and fuckery, more spell options, lay on hands has more versatility as you level up, and we can have a little something to give back to wizards so that they don't fuck up one D&D when 2024 rolls around.
You know what? The idea of a...
I'm just looking forward to one D&D. Like, it's going to be great.
It's going to take a whole community to make it work, you know, a village to raise a child, and people are scolding this child way too hard every time something comes out. Like, dude, let's just workshop it a little bit, you know, give it a chance. I know, like, maybe the druid's a little nerfed, but, you know, casters in general, everyone's complaining about the martial caster divide. Nerf them down just a little bit, not too much, and then just we'll kind of find that equilibrium, you know?
Yeah, that's a very good point.
You know, I'm actually looking forward to how there's 3 different spell lists now instead of every class having its own spell list. Like, that's going to make things a lot more streamlined, but also a lot more fun, I think.
I've been waiting for it for a while because there's a homebrew class that I love. I believe it's called the Arcane Sculptor, where you create weapons out of mana. It's like a martial type class, so it's kind of cool like that. And then you get to choose what spell list you're taking from. Like, oh, do you want the nature one, arcane, or the celestial one?
Is it like a blade caller kind of? You know what that is?
I don't think I do. No.
It's kind of like a mage that basically summons weapons.
In this, it's less like that and more in the you are literally able to shape mana like modeling clay.
Oh.
So you make a weapon out of mana, but you can also like make other things like chairs and shit.
So it's not like you summoning an item, it's you crafting an item, sort of.
Yeah, like once you get like a couple levels in, you're able to just instantly summon your weapon. Right. But early on, you're just like, okay, I'm just gonna make a weapon, just kind of like mold it.
Were you a fan of Fairy Tail?
Yeah, to a degree.
Oh yeah.
I think that it had a lot of potential, and I think it overplayed its hand on the friendship aspect. But they could have fixed the whole friendship thing if they would just stick to. If they just had like, oh, by the way, their power of friendship isn't bullshit because everyone in the guild is actually sharing mana through the tattoo. Like, oh, mana sharing via tattoo, that explains everything, you know?
But yeah, I bring that up because I always thought the idea of a player character like Ezra, the way she can summon weapons and, you know, summon different, you know, sets basically, which seems like a cool idea for D&D.
Oh yeah, that kind of requip type situation.
Yeah, and I wonder if there is a homebrew, because there probably is.
So there's actually a regular class and subclass that can kind of do that, only with one, of course. So it's closer to Iron Man. Mm-hmm. But if you look at the Artificer and look at the Armorer subclass for Artificer, right, they can actually make doff and don armor as an action or a bonus action. Mm-hmm. Like, they can be walking in their regular street clothes, walking down the road, monster, snap their fingers, covered in armor.
That's pretty sick.
I'd imagine that's kind of like what would happen if you were to bonus action mage armor.
Yeah, very much.
You know, I was actually just looking at the druid and paladin in the 1D&D, mm-hmm, and the Circle of the Moon druid updates in that 1D&D playtest. They can cast abjuration spells in wild shape starting at 3rd level.
I know, that's such a buff.
Which means mage armor or shield is on the table. So you could have a bear with mage armor, for instance. That's
what I was saying last episode. That's got massive potential. Not to mention, if you multi-class, you could take Shield of Faith too.
Yeah, you have a bear like rolling in, has mage armor, pops up a shield.
Yeah, so you could have a shield of faith, and mage armor.
How fucking cool would that be?
It's just actually fuck the shield. You don't even need that, but you can make all of it work. And because the form can be whatever you want, you can make it bipedal or quadrupedal. You can hybridize it to however you want. So
owl bear.
Yeah,
owl bear.
Owl bear's canon now. There's so much potential there. People are like, oh no, we're losing the tankiness. It's just, as a DM, I've run druids in games before, and I've always just had an issue with that massive health pool that they have access to. It's just like, dude, the fact that you can just transform and get a ridiculous amount of health to kind of cushion the fight is just like, really?
You know, essentially what they did was they made druid more creative. They really put, more emphasis on your choice. You got this. Do what you want.
Yeah, I love that, because you don't have to ask permission now for your creative forms. Sure, you're losing some of the bonuses that you might get from certain transformations. But I think once things are ironed out, because clearly there's a lot of that stuff that's going to have to come back, but they're going to have to find a way to integrate that as like a option into the form.
And for the listeners, you were not having deja vu. We did talk about this an episode or two ago.
Yeah, that's a thing.
But being able to make hybridized creatures, for instance,
Chimera,
a flying monkey,
Manticore.
and if you go with the flying monkey, bear with me. Monkeys have hands.
They do.
Which means you can hold a weapon. You can hold that +3 greatsword you have.
You're essentially...
Or you could go into combat holding a shield with you as a flying monkey.
Let's take it a step further. Circle of the Moon Druid with the new playtest allows you to fly into battle as a flaming hell gorilla.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fair. That is fair.
Which
is...
I would shit bricks if one of those came at me. Just flaming hell gorilla.
Fucking lightning tiger.
I'm out. Lightning tiger? I'm done. Get me out of here.
Holy
shit. It's so much cool. People are focusing on the wrong things here. Like, oh, you're getting nerfed on how much HP. Like, it's a lot of trouble as a DM to balance that shit.
Now you get to just be what you want to be.
Yeah, especially since druids can wild shape multiple times. There's nothing stopping them from turning into, say, an elephant with a shit ton of HP. Whittling down that HP, they turn back in druid, boom, turn back into an elephant. Even more HP.
Yeah, it's just... regular druid is currently the least played class in the game. And that's crazy because Artificer's there, and it's not even in most of the standard stuff.
And my biggest thing for this is the option for versatility, right? You could run in as a cheetah, take a hit or do some hits. Okay, and now your turn's over. You're gonna take a hit, turn into a rhino or something, right? Something bulky, fucking stegosaurus or something, right? And now on your next turn, you can swap again into a bear for, you know what I mean? Something that can deal the damage that you need, and then something that can take the hit that you need.
Not exactly. It's it's a static stat block now. So it's just the one.
That's true. So they don't get the stats for the animals, right?
Yeah, it's just your stats are going to be your dex and strength, and your land form are going to be equal to whatever your wisdom modifier, your wisdom score is. So really, the concept that you could just wild shape into a fucking bear and if you have a good roll and bonuses, start the game out being able to turn it into something with a 20 and 3 stats.
Exactly, right. And then where you could shift into something else that can make use of the stats differently.
And the beautiful thing about that, I think, is that as a druid, of course, wisdom is going to be your primary stat for your spells. So it's giving them more use out of their wisdom. you know, you don't have to worry about trying to get a high strength or a high dex, especially if you're going to be wild shaping, because you have that high wisdom. That's going to give you the strength, the dex, and of course your wisdom is going to stay the same. So you are looking at so much more versatility. You can, like, if your dex, say your dex is crap. No, your strength is crap. You need to help open a door. Let's summon, turn yourself into that flaming hell gorilla, and all of a sudden your strength goes from like whatever you have it in, say a 10, to your wisdom, which you can max out at 20, giving you double strength, giving you that extra +5 versus the +0 you would have otherwise. It's fantastic that way.
Yeah, and there's just a lot that can be done. I mean, if you if you multi-classed, this makes the druid monk multi-class even more dangerous.
Ooh.
Because you remember, Chris, last campaign I ran, Shane was running a druid monk. Now, with this change, it makes it so that if he were to go Circle of the Moon again like he did before, he wouldn't necessarily have to multi-class to get that bonus action attack during his wild shape. However, it does make it so that I lost my train of thought halfway through what I was saying.
Oh no.
Yeah, it actually, once you hit 5th level, it gives you multi-attack on like your actually any of the 3 forms, land, beast, or air. At 5th level, you automatically get that multi-attack as a druid. You don't have to multi-class to try to get extra attacks.
Okay, yeah, I regained what I was saying, but you're absolutely right about that, because from a DMing standpoint, I was worried about party balance in that regard, because druids being able to turn into something and then that the DM would normally have as a separate stat block, and all of a sudden they have multi-attack at level 2 that the fighter doesn't get an extra attack until level 5. Like, just you got
well, not counting their action search, but yeah,
like they can just casually do that. So at level 3, he's got himself the ability to turn into a bear and get 3 attacks off in the same turn every turn, and that's just a lot.
Oh, definitely, yeah. But also, if you think about it, the other really cool thing of multi-classing, for instance, with the new druid compared to the old druid, if you multi-class at your old druid as a barbarian and you rage, and say you take 3 levels in barbarian and you get totem barbarian, suddenly you have resistance to everything, and you rage and then you wild shape, like you're gonna be a bear that's raging, that gives you A, the extra health pool, but B, that health pool is effectively doubled because of the rage bonuses from barbarian. Like, it's a broken combo.
I think they actually...
And the rage bonuses would apply to the wild shape stats.
It's basically Cocaine Bear.
Yes, it is.
I might have to look at it again. I thought that the HP stays consistent before and after the transformation with the new one.
With the new one, it does. So you don't have to worry about that extra health pool and then doubling that extra health pool from Barbarian. So with the new Druid, it kind of puts a lid on that, so you don't end up with Cocaine Bear.
But it's still possible, because well, actually, toss out what I just said right there. Back to what I was trying to say earlier. You take a single level in Monk with Druid now, and you have access to, during your wild shape, your unarmored defense takes your wisdom and then adds it, and then now your wisdom and your dex are the same modifier.
Yep.
So that turns into a possible +10 to your AC right off the bat.
Well,
disgusting.
Well, so the current druids you wild shape, you take the hit points, the AC, all of that actually from the stat block. You don't get to keep like unarmored defense and whatnot in a animal form, because you have to use the stat block of the animal. But and the new druid the way their AC works is it's just going to be 10 plus whiz. So you don't have to worry about the dex bonus from monks. So thankfully, that helps nip that in the bud. And you're looking at a grand total of a max of 15 armor class on land or water, because you can only have 20, so plus 5 wisdom. So max 15. That makes it a lot easier to deal with as a DM.
Okay, so I was wrong about how that would function then. Because I'm okay with being wrong.
It's good. It's good to be wrong sometimes, because then you get to learn something new.
Yeah.
Oh my God, folks, we have a man admitting he's wrong.
Yeah.
Can we get some applause?
You all heard it. You all heard it. It happens. I promise.
On a side note, well, it's really the main segment, actually. Sam, what's the monster this week?
Oh man, we got a special one here today. We brought you all a Flumph.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. The fuck's a Flumph?
All right, so the Flumph is apparently, Chris's favorite monster.
Oh.
We thought it was. It also did win the vote in the Discord.
I did hear about this.
Congratulations to the Flumph. So, before I start, is there anything you want to say, Chris, about your favorite creature?
I'm going with a quote from X the Mystic. When you're in a dungeon, the number one rule to dungeon survival is trust a Flumph. They will never lead you astray. They're fantastic.
Hashtag believe all Flumphs.
Like a good woman, a Flumph will be by your side. So,
yeah.
Let's get to this description. Flumph's body was shaped like a flat saucer with a diameter of 2 feet, 61 centimeters, slightly larger than a human from shoulder to shoulder, and between 3 to 4 inches, 7.6 to 10 centimeters, thick at their center, about as thick as a human arm. The thickness tapered to about 1 inch, 2.5 centimeters, at the edge of the saucer.
Oh, we're getting metric.
Yeah, their bodies were hollow with a small circular hole at the center of the top side. They had a pair of 6-inch long, 15 centimeter, eye stalks on either side of the central hole, as well as numerous tentacles and spikes that grew from the underside.
Damn, I picture this as like something you might find on a sky island.
Yeah, I could see that, yeah. But they do actually live in the Underdark.
So they're not sky island jellies.
If you have like cave islands, sure.
Now, there is a reason they live in the Underdark.
Is there? I didn't see much about that, or not that I remember at least. Tell us.
So, the reason Flumphs live in the Underdark is Flumphs actually feed off of psychic energy.
Ah, right.
And some of the strongest psychic races, which are Aboleths, Githyanki, Mind Flayers. Flumphs actually live close to these races.
Oh, yeah,
kind of
get into that.
Try to stay aside, try to hide, of course, because they don't want to deal with conflict. But they will live close to these races so they can feed off that psychic energy of these various creatures. And of course, all these guys are found in the Underdark, so that's where you're going to find Flumphs.
Mm-hmm. In fact, they were named after the characteristic whistling sound made by these jets, which can only be heard in quiet areas and produce a gentle breeze. Oh no, I skipped the part!
What?
Okay.
Right, sorry.
So, what you skipped is the way Flumphs...
Here, I got it right here.
Which is amazing.
Hold on, here, I got it right here. So, Flumphs floated about 4 to 6 inches, 10 to 15 centimeters above the ground, by means of an innate anti-gravity field, and moved by using air jets as propulsion. The air circulated through the Flumph's body by entering the central upper cavity and exiting from small holes in its underside, and from apertures along the rim of its body.
I want to design a drone that functions this way.
Are essentially drones.
What kind of, but more so, they fly through the power of farts.
Yeah,
They
basically.
take in air through the mouth hole at the top of their body and expel it either through little mouth apertures it has along the rim of it, or from underneath it. Just flumph, flumph, flumph.
It's a jelly. just a little jelly.
All right.
And
this is where we get into, in fact, they were named after the characteristic whistling sound that made of these jets, which could only be heard in quiet areas and produce a gentle breeze. Their more peripheral tentacles were very, very dexterous and were capable of manipulating small objects. Common Flumphs were white, while monastic Flumphs were pale yellow or green, with tentacles ending in darker shades. Flumphs also glowed faintly in different colors depending on their mood.
So, Flumph mood rings.
I do have all the colors here and what they mean.
I'm down for it. You harvest Flumph pigmentation, and then you put that in rings.
You harvest a Flumph?
Magic
what
item.
What kind of monster are you?
Well, listen, sometimes you got to make a living.
So they would turn a shade of pink when they were amused, blue for sadness, green for curiosity, and red for anger.
There you go.
And actually, if a Flumph was too near, say, a Mind Flayer that it was feeding off of, and the Mind Flayer got really angry, the Flumph would feed on that energy, of course, and it would turn red because it's holding that anger from the Mind Flayer.
Right.
That's interesting.
So, getting into the ecology a little bit. So, Flumphs reproduced about once every 2 years by a budding process, in which between 1 and 8 tiny younglings sprouted from the adult's underside.
So they're asexual.
It kind of sounds like it, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds asexual.
The young Flumphs became fully independent after 3 months upon reaching a diameter of about 2 inches, 5.1 centimeters. Then they grew to fully adult size after 1 month, and their lifespan was about 20 years. Besides psionic energy, Flumphs also fed on small vermin such as rats, lizards, and frogs. They hunted by floating about 1 to 2 feet, 30 to 61 centimeters, higher, and then jumping on top of their prey, immobilizing them and absorbing their nutrients with the tentacles.
You know what's funny? Partway through, I was like, why the fuck is he using metric? And then I realized, we have European listeners.
We do. We saw it on the analytics.
Yeah, the analytics are telling us we got people listening in India and France now, a little bit of Germany.
And, I'm really bad at doing those conversions on the fly, so I thought...
You know what? I think it's great that you're putting that in there, because the American measurement system sucks. It is fucked.
It makes no sense at all.
The fuck's a foot, my guy?
It's like, how do you remember a mile? It's 5 tomatoes. 5280.
Look, you heard it here, folks. We hate the American measurement system.
A meter is 100. Or 10. Sorry, a meter is 10. Sorry. But a meter, 10. And it's all base 10. Like, why aren't we using base 10?
It's so easy. Like, okay, if I got 10 millimeters, that's a centimeter. I got 10 centimeters, that's a decimeter. 10 decimeters makes a meter, and then 10 meters makes a decameter, and then all the way up to a kilometer and a meter.
Kilometer. Hold on, we gotta go back to the kilometer here. I always thought it was a kilometer, but a kilometer? That's fantastic.
We gotta measure it. It's the meter is the measuring bit.
And actually, another really great thing about when Flumphs are hunting. So usually, like you said, they float a couple of feet above an animal and drop on it. Right. They have actually also been known to fly 10 feet above an enemy, including humanoids. And that's 3.048 meters for our international audience.
You're welcome.
Damn, you right?
Yeah, I am. 3.048 meters. And they'll drop from the sky tentacles, spikes, and propulsion systems first, straight down.
I think we need to keep these Flumph things away from the Japanese.
They're in the fucking trees.
I mean, everything you said there, very Japanese. Propulsion systems, Argo, dropping down like a fucking ninja, like a sky jelly ninja with tentacles. Like
Jelly
yes, like sky jelly ninjas with propulsion systems. This is about that gives you all the Japanese shit because you got like your whole propulsion, like a Gundam.
Now I'm gonna need someone to draw a Flumph ninja.
Please.
All right. We need this to exist.
With any listeners that are artistic, please.
Well, you don't need to call me out like that. oh, wait. You said artistic, didn't you?
Oh, I didn't. Did I say autistic?
Yeah, you said artistic.
Okay. Oh, same.
Yeah, see, I got that DM gaslight ability. It's great. You gotta fuck with your players a little bit.
Gaslight 101. Be a DM.
I can see it now.
Getting into their lifestyles here. Most typical Flumphs led nomadic and monastic lifestyles. Their society was organized in harmonious cooperative groups called cloisters, in which all Flumphs shared knowledge and contributed according to their own skills.
Flumph monks?
I bet, yeah.
Flumph communist monks, okay.
Ordinary members of the cloister were called monks. A typical cloister could be up to 32 monks strong and was led by an abbot, who was aided by a group of priors that comprised of about 1/6 of the monk population. It was common for monastic Flumphs to be capable of casting cleric spells by the benevolent deities they worshipped or unknown to humans.
So when do they get flurry of blows? do they like spin like a Beyblade?
Oh my god, I hope so.
As soon as they get some key points, they're on it.
I wonder what kind of god a Flumph worships.
It's got to look like an aboleth.
So Flumphs actually do have some deities,
yeah,
but no one actually knows what they are because only Flumphs know about them.
Right.
They are Flumph only gods.
Very exclusive. You got to be a part of the club to join.
I know there are a few. I mean, they are neutral good, I believe.
Flying spaghetti monster?
Yeah, I was gonna say, the demon that is basically that, or maybe like the Kraken. But I wouldn't see them being aligned to a kind of evil deity.
Oh no, Flumphs are lawful good. So they are actually, they follow a lawful good Flumph god or goddess. We just don't know what it is.
I wonder if they're the Krakatoa, whatever. They kind of make their own gods. I can't. It's called
the Kuatoa.
The Kuatoa.
I love the Kuatoa.
Krakatoa. Yeah.
I was thinking of like that SpongeBob thing. Where Squidward's all like Krakatoa.
Oh my god.
That was a thing.
Oh, jeez.
This is great.
So, the cloisters were also known for sometimes recruiting isolated mind witnesses into their communities. Once a mind witness was taken in service of the Flumphs, it would change its worldview accordingly. It was no longer an evil creature. So I had to look up what a mind witness was, and this
sounds like some brainwashing.
They are creepy.
They are very interesting. So they were flying nightmares of eyes and tentacles created by mind flayers by inserting one of their tadpoles into a beholder. And if and when we do have a beholder episode, I will go into these a little deeper.
Right.
But they are freaky looking.
I've seen them in the monster book. It's great. They're just, they are absolutely freaky.
And the idea that they become a, unevil creature after being a lawful evil creature is very interesting.
Yeah, you just got to indoctrinate them into your monastic religion of the flying jelly people.
Exactly.
And then you're good.
It's nothing a few camps can solve.
Ouch! Ouch, man!
They're just re-education camps. Don't worry.
Oh, Jesus. I didn't mean that. Please don't cancel me.
Is that a pray the evil away kind of camp?
No, I think they banned that kind of therapy.
Oh my gosh. I don't believe in conversion camps. I promise.
I think they recently banned that shit in our state, but I'm just like, sure, you banned it, but who the fuck was signing up for it in the first place?
All right.
Like, that shit's so outdated.
Uber religious nuts. That's all I can say.
Yeah, but like the moment you get outside the home and you see like you know, as soon as you touch grass, it's like, oh, you know what? Maybe I should not hang around that, you know?
Look inwards.
Mindfulness and meditation.
And speaking of looking inwards, we're going to get into the internal of these flumphs.
All right. So are they full of hot air like a balloon?
They're full of something. Some flumph internal organs could be harvested for practical applications. Their brains, when powdered, could be used in the crafting of a potion of levitation, with a yield of 3 potions per brain. The inner layers of their tentacles, the inner layers of their tentacles could also be harvested to make oil acid resistance, with every 20 tentacles yielding 1 serving of oil.
There's a whole lot of harvesting these peaceful creatures.
I mean, what don't people harvest?
Again, you monsters.
Yeah.
You're harvesting flumphs.
Couldn't be
I
me.
mean, for creatures that want to fly, I could see the potions levitation kind of being, you know...
Just buy a broom of flying. It's easier.
Buy this expensive magic item that witches
It's
are
an
known
uncommon
to
magic item. Not even that
So,
much.
Are we looking at a little situation where the party has to stop the flumph poachers? Because that's a mission.
I can see it.
We got flumph poachers.
And look, they're in the under.
And I'm yanking that idea and putting it in my
They're
game.
in the Underdark. Who do you think doesn't hunt these creatures?
Yeah, you know what? I think the drow would be all over that shit.
The Githyanki probably. The Mind Flayers definitely.
The Mind Flayers don't mind the flumphs, but those Githyanki, those guys will harvest flumphs.
That's true. I did read that. About the Mind Flayers.
Yeah, that sounds about right. You know what? I would imagine that one of the few things that they probably run into in the Underdark that's not trying to kill them would be Gem Dragonborn.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
You know, I really want the party to get into their backstories. And I have a few ideas of how to kind of bring that out of it.
Yeah, I think that'd be a lot of fun because, like, I put some stuff into the backstory that I built for Ezra, and it was kind of hinted at the start when you introduced Cosmo.
Right.
That worked out. It was a great scene.
Yeah. The way I kind of dipped it to everyone's minds.
Yeah. It worked out the way it should. Like, you know, everyone else was kind of like a diet on their backstory and just conveniently had bad roles.
Very true. So, the last thing of the innards of this creature, the glands that produce their defensive foul-smelling fluid could be used as material component for the Stinking Cloud spell. However, the characteristic smell produced by a spellcast using that component was likely to attract the attention of every flumph within a 1 mile radius.
Pheromones.
1 mile, 1.6 kilometer radius.
So, I think we have to stop.
Yeah.
And we got to talk about how flumphs fight. Because it's fantastic.
It is. I did get into that a little bit here.
So it's like a way of the open hand monk. Do they have hands? I don't think so.
But they've got tentacles that can actually poison you. Well, acid damage. It's an acidic poison that they will hit you with, and then you get injected with this poison and this acidic poison that just bamps into you again and again every round.
So they got roofy tentacles.
Stranger danger. They do.
Yeah, I mean, I do have some notes when we get into their abilities and stuff here about that. So you do have a couple interesting things.
All right. Sounds cool.
I got a little bit more about the lore here. So kind of finishing up my background on flumphs. The origin of the flumph was ultimately a mystery. It was speculated that flumphs were genetically related to grells or belabras. Due to some physiological similarities, such as their hovering in the presence of tentacles, given the probable genetic ties to the grells, most sages agreed that flumphs originated in a different world and traveled as a clandestine passengers in grell spelljammer ships.
Clandestine? I would never use that word to describe a flumph.
Let me define this real quick.
So they sneak aboard the grill ships. They hide.
Kept secret or done secretively?
Yeah, they hide inside the grill ships. Or maybe they just kind of cluster on the bottom of it like barnacles.
Yeah, I could see that.
Maybe. It's just when I hear the word clandestine, I always think of something a little bit more degenerate, you know?
Looking at these creatures, I can see the resemblance.
Yeah, there is a resemblance, but at the same time, Grells seem to be closer related to mind flayers.
Yeah, they look like the brains.
You know, maybe that's why they're related, because of the proximity to mind flayers.
Yeah, I could see that. If they were around these kind of more primitive, maybe, or, stranger creatures, I could see them kind of changing.
Yeah, some experiments along the way, because mind flayers like to do that kind of shit. Next thing you know.
Especially with the properties of, these kind of aberration-ish creatures.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yes.
But a lot of aberrations, not only from other planes, but sometimes they are just the result of wizard shenanigans.
Wizard shit.
Yeah, like my homebrew monster, the Were Rock.
Wizard shit.
Yeah, just to clarify, that is a Were Rock, as in a boulder, a giant stone, not a rock like the monster bird. There has been confusion about that in the past.
Yeah, we had a whole discussion about that once.
Yeah, which incidentally is going into your new book. I hear you're spearheading a project.
Yes. So we are slowly but surely working on a campaign book set in a world that I created called Paltira. That is a little different than your standard world, like Forgotten Realms, for instance. Because in Paltira, a number of years ago, depending on when you're running a course, usually 500-600 years ago, in Paltira there was something that happened that caused the Great Devastation. Now, no records exist of what that was. Nobody actually knows. But it caused all the races of the world, so orcs and goblins and dwarves and gnomes, humans, elves, dwarves, everybody working together to stop it.
Shit.
So in this world, it's not actually uncommon for you to go into a shop and see an orc working alongside a dwarf manning a forge, or having a goblin and a gnome running the same shop. So it leads to a whole new way to think about races or species, as one D&D is working on, where finally it's not orcs and goblins are evil. It's they have their own culture, of course, and sometimes cultures are built on war or fighting, strongest of the strongest and the fittest, survival of the fittest. That's what I was looking for. But it's taking all of these different backgrounds and meshing them together as a sort of harmonizing union between all the sentient races.
Okay.
So of course you are still going to have bandits, but that bandit group could be made up of humans, elves, dwarves, orcs, and goblins. It's not just going to be dark evil races anymore. So I think it's something that's needed in D&D is a reason dwarves and elves and orcs and goblins would work together, because we should all actually be working together.
That sounds like a lot of where the kind of culture for D&D is moving towards currently, especially with the one D&D's kind of shift on perspective on how they're treating everything. Now, I think that a healthy dose of racism in a campaign can work wonders, because that provides an adversarial force, something to fight against. I'm not saying just throwing out all the hard R's and stuff. No, you gotta. There has to be some opposition, and of course, no one really cares for racism. But it's just one of those things where you give your players a chance to come against something.
Right, and to really experience the nuances of this world.
Exactly. I threw a little bit of that kind of situation into my previous game. Of course, my brother didn't take it so well. And as he escalated the situation very rapidly, Chris, you remember this. He took it from, oh, I'm a kobold, people don't really like me, to, you know what, I'm just going to genocide a whole town. I'm going to see if the necromancer would want to help me out with that.
Yeah. So, yeah, you know, I agree that some racism is, of course, always going to happen. You are always going to have people who pass their beliefs to their children, to their children's children, to look at various races and automatically think, of course, oh, those are orcs, they're evil, they're all evil. But I think a larger portion of that is more nuanced than that, where, you know, like dwarves and elves, for instance. Dwarves and elves have always been antagonistic towards each other. Ever since Lord of the Rings with J.R. Tolkien, dwarves and elves have always hated each other for the most part. But the way I'm going about it in my world in Paltira is there is still that rivalry, but it's more of a competitive rivalry where, you know, an elf will of course prefer an elven made suit of armor because it's light and flowy and designer, whereas a dwarf is going to prefer something sturdy and dwarven made. But it's more like an art competition where they're both going to be presenting their own things. They're gonna harass each other, of course, all right, but in more of a friendly nature. And you know, like orcs and goblins. Look at people today. There are people of any race, any creed, any color who are racist, but there's also so many more of those same different races and creeds and colors who are open to working with each other, to, you know, stepping out away from that racist bubble and going more towards a community. And that's kind of what I'm trying to create in this world, is a place for everyone to feel included.
You know, that makes me think a lot of, you know, the Grim Hollow story that I'm running. I've had, you know, my party encounter a little bit of prejudice and a little bit of racism with, you know, we have our Dragonborn, we have, you know, your Tabaxi, these very odd races in this world where difference is outcast.
Yeah. And I think that it's one of those things that when you have a little bit of opposition, no matter what form it takes, it can push a story forward, and there is value to that.
Yeah. It definitely adds, you know, a very personal depth to a story, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think this is a good moment to have, you know, a little quick break, and we'll run an ad for you guys.
Oh, we got ads.
Enjoy.
We do. I'm Millie Bass here, and this is Mimic Tape, the most versatile tape known to the Night Realms. This product has so many uses. Do you need to lock a dungeon door behind you but don't have the spell slots for Arcane Lock? Use Mimic Tape. Is your armor rended from a dragon's claw? Mimic Tape. Do you need to tie up a villain for interrogation? That's right, use rope. Mimic Tape is fantastic for temporary bindings, patches, and in a pinch, you can even use it to close your wounds, though I wouldn't suggest it. The power of Mimic Tape comes from its tiny teeth along the entire length of the roll. The tape is eco-friendly, devouring whatever it is used upon in 1 to 6 hours. That's right, Mimic Tape is made up 100% of tiny mimics, bonded through the power of magic. Between the adhesive properties of a mimic and its many and interesting teeth, this is the tape for you. For the low price of 50 gold a month for 3 months, you can own your very own roll of Mimic Tape. Have your cleric cast Sending now. Don't wait. Mimic Tape use may have the following side effects: chewing, devouring, eating, running away, destroying things, drooling, and death. Please consult a cleric before using.
Ahoy, hoy, nerds! You're listening to Dungeons and Talkshows with Sam and Orion.
All right, and we are back. That was fantastic. I need to get me a roll of Mimic Tape. Throw that in a dungeon.
What great uses. Everyone loves duct tape.
Yeah, right? This is a little bit more chewy and dangerous than your typical, but I think I'd like to get me a roll.
Oh, I'm down. I want like 3 of them. I'm gonna keep them on my character, and we're gonna use mimic tape in all the wrong.
I would allow this
of course.
in my game. I'm
You need 1 for the house, 1 for the boat, and 1 for the garage.
So finishing up the Flumph here for you guys, we have the abilities and special traits.
All right, let's hear it.
So they have a strength of 6, dexterity of 15, constitution of 10, intelligence of 14, wisdom of 14, and a charisma of 11. Normally a Flumph's reaction when facing an evil creature was to flee. However, Flumph's tendrils were acidic and could be used as defensive weapons if necessary. They also had the ability to shoot a sticky, foul-smelling fluid, whose odor lasted for several hours and was potent enough to stick in nearby creatures. The fluid could be removed from a victim by spending at least an hour bathing in water, alcohol, or vinegar.
Okay, so they're skunkies.
They are skunkies.
They are, but the beautiful thing is, anywhere along its diameter, a Flumph can actually shoot that. So it doesn't matter if you're in front, behind, next to. Unlike a skunk, who you have to be behind. A Flumph can shoot that anywhere.
They're very omnidirectional in that way.
And as a result of its anatomy and flight mechanics, a Flumph became almost completely helpless if turned upside down. They could right themselves only with a great effort. They were capable of overhearing any telepathic conversation held within a range of 60 feet, 18 meters, but were immune to attempts at reading their thoughts or their emotions against their will.
That's pretty useful and could be a lot of fun for campaigns that integrate more psionic stuff. I mean, my character has a little bit of that psionic telepathy going on, so that would foil some things if we were being too devious.
Right, and I got some of their telepathic abilities here. They have telepathic shroud. The Flumph is immune to any effect that would sense emotions or read its thoughts, as well as all divination spells.
That sounds redundant because they're basically a mood ring.
Right. They also have advanced telepathy. The Flumph can perceive the content of any telepathic communication used within 60 feet of it, and can't be surprised by creatures with any form of telepathy.
All right. I'd say that's pretty useful.
And that finishes up Flumphs.
Not bad. I think that it's something that's underused. I have put them in my games before.
I hope you guys feel educated on these strange aberrations.
I like them. They're cool.
They are cool. What would you give the fight score if you had to fight one of these guys?
I'm gonna say a 2.
Yeah, I would say about the same. They're not relatively strong. They have a low CR. Their health is kind of low.
Yeah. You see, it's... Yeah.
And of course you can incapacitate them by just turning them upside down. So, I mean, that's not very dangerous.
If they get the drop on you, maybe you have a problem, but... I feel like you could deal with it.
I think if I have a broom, I'm pretty set.
Yeah, pull out a broom, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just gonna have to make sure, that none of your you have to know that none of your friends are gonna want to be around you for like an hour and a half while you try to get that stench off of you. But otherwise, you're golden.
I wanted to say real quick before we move into the stuff you guys have prepared. This kind of concludes our run through each category.
Oh, does it?
We did the Fae with the Hags, I think. We got the Constructs with the Modrons. We got the...
have we done Plant yet?
I actually don't think we have the Plant. Maybe you're right. I have to run a plant to a plant poll.
Oh, maybe like what's the Shambling Mound?
Yeah, like a Shambling Mound, maybe a Tree Imp. Maybe like a... What's that?
Dakin shrubs. Good to go.
Maybe like a dryad or something.
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Are they plants or are they just like spirit or like a fae?
I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Hold on. Let me look this
I'm
up.
pretty sure they're fae, actually.
Dryad. Humanoid.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're fae.
You might be right here. They are medium fae. Oh. I'll have to run through the plant list. If the listeners here have any suggestions for this next range of creatures, let me know.
Yeah, hit us up in the comments.
I'm actually just going to throw also myconids because they are walking mushrooms.
This is true. They are.
Fungal
You know,
people,
the,
and
They
they're
are.
hilarious.
The Grim Hollows book has a fungal folk.
They're adorable.
They are adorable.
And they're like everywhere. But then again, Grim Hollow is just very, there's all this death and decay and shit. So of course there's going to be these adorable little fungal folk eating all the corpses.
Exactly. They're the janitor squad of the forest.
We are going to have to get ourselves a news stinger for the show because I got us some news this week.
Breaking news.
Yes. And so Earl of Fife Games is announcing their new tabletop. It's kind of a third-party publisher program they got going on, Heroes and Hardships. So basically, under this whole little program thing they got going on here, they're going to be really pushing the Heroes and Hardships rules, kind of releasing it out there, getting it kind of shown around to the communities. They're throwing out third-party approved products for it, and they're just launching the whole thing. It looks like ever since the whole OGL debacle, everyone and their mother is putting out a tabletop game all their own. Matt Colville's doing it. I believe, who is that other person, the other crew that was putting something together? I forget who they were, but...
Critical Role.
Are they?
Critical Role actually has a number of products that are either their own, as well as the one 5e one, which is called the Netherdeep. But they actually have their own full campaign guide, Tal'Dorei Reborn. It's actually really fantastic.
And the Exandrian stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I've
saw it
seen
on
that
the
around. Yeah.
Last episode, they were promoting it a bit.
You know, speaking of... yeah. Sorry about that. But speaking of Matt Mercer... did y'all hear about the news that he's going to be DMing for Dimension 20?
Did.
Would you?
You have no idea how excited I am for that, by the way, because I want to see Matt Mercer, who is a really, really serious DM all the time with Critical Role, because it's a really serious game, and turning into the, oh dear God, face palm mess that is Dimension 20, which is amazing to me.
I haven't really heard any Dimension 20. I'm familiar with Critical Role because I've gotten like maybe 30 or so episodes into their third season. I kind of fell off because I started being at home, so not as much time doing my typical driving and listening. But from what I understand, this is going to be quite a fish out of water situation for Matt.
Yeah, but I've actually seen him as a guest player on Dimension 20, for instance, and he has it. He has it down pat. Like, I just can't wait to see that silly side of Matt Mercer come out.
I also believe he's going to be in a show or something, right?
Well, he does a lot of stuff. He is a voice actor.
Yeah. I think I saw a article about him doing a show of some kind. I don't remember what it was.
We'll have to look into that. Another thing in our recent news is Hit Point Press is releasing another Kickstarter. This one is called Big Bads. It's going to be a 2-volume collection, although really, can you call 2 volumes a collection? I don't even know.
Maybe it's kind of the whole couple and a few thing. You know?
Yeah, that's something along those lines. But essentially, we're going to have biggest, baddest bosses, monsters, all for that 5e system that we all know and love. It's going to be like 2 books full of bosses and big monsters and mini bosses and shit, all ramped up for your party to take down or struggle or maybe even TPK with. Who knows? That shit gets crazy.
If your party is a bunch of murder hobos, slide this book into your rotisserie of usage. Check them a little bit, you know? Sometimes you need an ego check, you know? Sometimes you be knocked down a peg.
I'm a big fan
We've all
of that.
experienced this, you know? Some players get very cocky in their abilities.
Yeah, your players always need to remember running away is an option.
You
And
can't
sometimes
beat
they really
everything to
should
death,
take it.
you know?
Yeah,
Always.
like that time I had my level 4 party come up on a CR13 Mind Flayer.
Run away quickly.
I think it was CR13. There was a Mind Flayer with spell slots, so...
Be afraid.
Which is just wrong, by the way. I just want you to know.
Which part? The spell slots having or the CR?
No, just the fact that you put a CR15 spell slinging Mind Flayer in front of a party of level 4 characters. Like, yeah, running away is an option, but oh dear God, a Mind Flayer is terrifying all on its
They
own.
knew enough to run away because the veteran player was practically shitting himself when that thing showed up.
Now, what you need to do to up the ante is just add a couple of intellect devourers that are like little puppies for the Mind Flayer.
Yeah.
That didn't show up until much later, but I believe you were around for the arc where the intellect devourers came into play.
And I've used them myself in some of my games for terrifying effect. I actually have one player's character who got intellect devoured and is now floating somewhere in the astral sea thanks to a bag of holding inside a bag of holding incident. And so this Mind Flayer, or this character with an intellect devourer in its head, is just out there somewhere.
That's amazing. How that kind of stuff goes. All right, let's see what else we got here. Oh, we got another free shit alert.
Free shit!
Free shit!
Free shit!
Yeah!
Dum.
Free shit.
Here, sir, would you care for some free shit? Yes.
I want free shit.
As I mentioned
please.
earlier, Earl of Fife Games is releasing their new tabletop game, Heroes and Hardships. Now, part of this is that they're on Drive-Thru RPG. They're releasing some pre-order stuff. Well, not exactly pre-order, but you can go there to pre-order the Heroes and Hardships. But right now you can get a excellent map pack that easy to get. I'm going to put the link in the description, which the maps look fantastic. I'm probably going to use those for my own game at some point, as well as a short adventure. I don't remember what let's see here. Load it up so I can actually look at what the levels were for the adventure. I thought it was like 3 to I thought I had it.
I also have a bit of free shit alert in my homebrew showcase.
What's this free shit alert you got here?
In my homebrew? Are we moving over to homebrew showcases?
I mean, we absolutely can.
I don't mind starting it off.
And you know what? I feel that this stinger works very well for the Homebrew Showcase, as it's all very generic.
Go for it.
Generic realm, lots of fun, excellent.
Perfect.
I love it so much.
Welcome to the Homebrew Showcase, where the community makes these beautiful things that we want to bring to your attention.
All right. So
today I bring you a spell from the Kibbles Tasty Homebrew. The Kibbles Compendium of Legends and Legacies is live on Kickstarter now. They did hit their goal relatively quickly from what I saw, and they destroyed it. Hitting,
the community is on it.
Over 400,000 raised from a goal of 20,000. Fantastic. And this is a massive book of martial might with magical mayhem for D&D 5e. You got 4 epic new classes, 30 plus new subclasses, 30 plus feats, and over 240 spells. You can definitely check them out at Kibbles Tasty Homebrew at kthomebrew.com.
All right. I will stop you right there just for a moment. The adventure I was mentioning earlier is for 3rd level adventures. So it's a 3rd level. It's a 3rd level adventure.
All right. So moving on to my spell here, Volcanic Burst. Classes are Druid, Warlock, Spellblade, which is one of the new classes, Sorcerer, and Warlock.
Oh, that's cool.
It is a casting time of 1 action, range of 120 feet. The vocal, somatic, and material components are a piece of obsidian. And the duration is instantaneous. Now, this is not as crazy as the other one that I presented, I promise. But it does seem pretty good.
All right.
You call fiery forces from below the earth to erupt upwards violently, causing the rocks beneath the point to melt and erupt into magma. The ground in a 10-foot radius explodes in a shower of fire and magma, raining down in the 20-foot radius. Okay, so kind of like an umbrella here.
So like lava bending.
Basically, creatures within the area must make a dexterity saving throw. On a failure, they take 4d10 bludgeoning damage and 4d6 fire damage.
Oh, what level did you say this was?
This is a... Oh, I didn't get the level for the spell, but it is up there. I believe it was like 6 or 7 or something like that.
Yeah, I kind of figured it'd have to be in that range.
Yeah, somewhere around there. I'm sorry, I don't remember exactly. But if a creature is within the 10-foot inner radius, then they are additionally flung 10 feet into the air, taking 1d6 bludgeoning damage and falling prone when they land. On a successful save, a creature takes half damage and suffers no additional effects. The center of the 10-foot radius becomes difficult terrain until cleared. And real quick, each 5-foot square portion of the area requires at least 1 minute to clear by hand. I think this sounds awesome.
It sounds
terrifying.
It sounds like a precursor to Meteor Swarm.
You know, it's kind of like that spell that our druid just picked up. Eruption or something?
It does sound like that. Like, say you're building up, you start with Earth Tremor, Mold Earth, and then like you just kind of keep building up all these Earth-based spells. Then you get to that one right there at like whatever, like 6th or 7th level. And then you finally reach 9th level and you take Meteor Swarm, where you're just summoning giant rocks from space to smite your enemies.
You're basically Madara at that point.
Yeah, you're just like, okay, I'm going to just bring all the rocks.
So what would you guys rate this spell?
I'd say that's a 9 out of 10. Seems balanced enough. It's interesting and flavorful. I really can't complain.
Yeah, I give this a 10 out of 10 would take. No,
yeah,
10.
I'm definitely on board. 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, right around there. Because this thing is absolutely terrifying. Especially because those pools stay. Which creates a whole new interesting obstacle course while in combat. Yeah. Which is amazing and scary.
You could play around with the lava effect.
Yeah, and that can go both ways. The enemies could use it, or your team could use it. So that there's so much potential there, and I love things that shake up the battlefield.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's like a lair action disguised as a spell, which I love.
I do love that. That's a good.
Ooh, you could give it to your bosses.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And treat it as a lair action.
Absolutely.
That's pretty solid right there.
Yeah,
Chris, do you want to go next or should I?
Go ahead and you go next.
All right. I bring to you the bag of puppies.
Aww.
Well, we've all been there. You got the girlfriend or the wife that's not too interested in the game, but she shows up at the table. Well, this is a wondrous item, very rare. You know, kind of keep her a little interested. Or maybe you just have that one person at the table that's just stupidly into just all the animals all the time.
All the cute things, you know?
All the cute things. Like, my brother's definitely one of these guys. Like, oh, I want to pick up all the rats. I want to take all of them. You know, I got to give them a little home. Well, this is where the bag of puppies comes in. This charming bag is actually an extra-dimensional puppy paradise. Its interior is divinely designed dog resort that can comfortably house 1,000 puppies. The puppies live in luxury. The bag provides them with as much food, air, and drink as they need, while keeping them young for as long as they stay inside the bag. When found, a bag of puppies will typically hold about 1,000 puppies. Unlike lesser bags, the bag of puppies is indestructible. And then it comes with a couple of abilities. The first one, pick a puppy. As an action, you can reach inside the bag, pick a puppy, and alternatively, you can use your action to place a new puppy in the bag. So you can store all the puppies. As a DM, you might be a little more versatile on what you can put in the bag, such as, maybe animals that aren't puppies, but,
Kittens.
yeah, bag of kittens. Flavor this however you want. Maybe instead of a bag of puppies, it's a bag of guinea pigs.
Bag of armadillos.
Dude, if playing a desert campaign and you find a random bag of armadillos and it's just like almost like 1,000 armadillos in the bag. Like, holy shit. Yeah. You're just dumping out armadillos and they're just rolling on down. And the enemy's like, what the fuck's going on with all these armadillos? It's that. It's like 101 Dalmatians and like they're puppies. So they're harmless. Like they're not going to kill anything, but it's so distracting. It's puppies,
What else can this bag do?
Okay, the second ability, Canine Flood, as we were just discussing. As an action, you can turn the bag inside out, releasing all 1,000 puppies in a 30-foot radius sphere of puppies. This Canine Flood persists for one round as puppies tumble and fall, heavily obscuring the area. The ground in a 30-foot radius becomes difficult terrain as puppies scurry about. Any medium or small creature that enters the circle for the first time on a turn or ends its turn, they must succeed on a DC 15 strength or dexterity save. The creature chooses the ability or they may willingly fail the save if they want. And when they do fail, they fall prone and become grappled. And the escape DC's 15. As enthusiastic and playful puppies jump onto them, and the circle lasts for about 3 D6 turns until the puppies get tired from all the play and they go back into the bag.
Oh boy. Oh my god, if you have to force your enemy to like attack these puppies.
Yeah, the psychological warfare. What the fuck are you gonna do? You gonna kill puppies?
Oh my god.
Or you could give this to the big bad. The big bad hits your players with a torrent of puppies. And they're not even evil puppies. They're just puppies.
Right.
Except for somewhere along in that mess, there's at least one blink dog puppy.
Oh, yes.
There's gotta be.
Ooh, brilliant.
One distortion dog.
Yeah. And this is brought to us by Catilius, who has a Patreon, so we're going to link to that in the description below.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I think it's pretty neat. I don't think I'd place it too high. I'd probably give it like a 6 out of 10. It's interesting. I think there's more RP that can be had with this than anything else.
Yeah, it's definitely more for an RP side rather than a practical play side.
I'm actually going to give it an 8 out of 10 because while it's also RP heavy, that lovely radius of difficult puppy terrain and you fall down and you're mobbed by puppies and getting puppy kisses is just hilarious for a combat aspect.
Definitely.
Like, could you imagine being in the middle of combat, surrounded on all sides by raging Goliaths, and all of a sudden, puppies. Just everywhere.
Now you have to worry about not killing these puppies.
Yeah, I'd say that would be a fair way to go about it. And I'd be a big fan of giving this item to your big bad. Like the big fight's going down, and he pulls out a bag from his cloak.
It could even be like a bag of spiders or something.
No, I'm just saying the bag of puppies, and he just dumps it out. The party gets covered in a torrent of puppies. And he makes a run for it while they're being mauled to death by puppy kisses.
That's true, yeah.
And you know what else that would do? That would prevent that wizard from casting fireball on you because then they'll have to take out all the puppies.
I mean, the big bad might do it anyway.
Yeah, but I
what
mean, if
about
the big bad creates the flood of puppies, then the party's wizard won't be fireballing him at upcasted to 8th level
Very true.
because all those puppies.
Yeah, unless you're a melee range, you're probably not going to want to attack him.
What if it's a bag of babies?
I mean, essentially it is. Like,
That reminds me of baby armor. Just a big bad with babies strapped all over him like a suit of armor.
bag of snakes.
You can't attack him.
I think this has a lot of potential, especially when you reflavor it to be different animals.
Yeah, I give it about a 5 or 6.
I'd be careful about parties that you divvy this out to. Like, if you have a industrious party, don't.
Yeah, I give it
selling
5 or
1,000 puppies, that's free gold right there.
6.
One thing that would be even better if the puppies are magically brought back into the bag after, say, an hour. So you create the flood of puppies. They're out there for an hour. You sell them. You leave. And then all of a sudden, all the puppies disappear and they're back in your bag.
Yeah, teleport it back to the bag.
Exactly.
I think, well, the way it puts it's just puppies. So you can add and subtract puppies as you will. So maybe you start with just like, oh, there's a dozen puppies in the bag. And as the party goes on, these puppies breed and maybe they just start collecting puppies. Gotta catch them all.
Don't give this bag to our druid. She did sacrifice an axolotl last game. So, like,
She
sacrificed an axolotl?
she slid it open and smeared it all over a door.
The door required a blood sacrifice, but
yeah.
Fortunately, the axolotl was not enough.
To be fair, I stopped her from sacrificing Stonk.
That's true, yeah.
That wasn't Grimfeather's axolotl, right?
You had one?
Grimfeather had one. Because all he wanted was to catch one. And he did. He actually went into
I
the
do not
river to
remember.
catch
I
one.
know we had 2, but I don't remember.
Well, regardless, that's one less axolotl. So if Grimfeather still has one on him, then he's still got one on him.
Sure.
Just
Yeah,
a
I'll say you
little
probably
bottle with
took
an
it with you.
axolotl in it.
Yeah.
So,
But
what did you
damn.
bring today, Chris?
All right. So today I actually have a personal custom magic item.
Ooh.
This will appear in the Paltera campaign guide when we get it going.
All right, a sneak peek, really.
This is a sneak peek. I have for you the Ring of Returning. Now, this is a magic item you will want to put in front of your players, especially the ranger or the rogue who likes throwing their daggers, because this ring, you put it on and you attune to it, and when you are attuned, anything you launch or throw returns to you.
Nice.
So you shoot an arrow, you get your arrow back. You throw a dagger, you get your dagger back. The problem being, this ring is cursed. Now, it sounds great. It sounds great to have all of your ammo and daggers returning to you.
Yeah, where do I sign?
Except, see, if what you rolled to hit the enemy also beats your armor class, when that thing comes back, it literally comes back at you. So the dagger flies out and it turns around and flies back. So if it's over your armor class, you are taking the same amount of damage as the enemy did, as your dagger embeds itself into your shoulder upon return. And of course, you cannot unattune to this item,
Unfortunately,
without remove curse or a wish, because
It's so good.
So yeah, as you know, I love cursed items because they are so much fun, and this one is one of my favorites. I've actually used it a couple of times in a couple of groups, and I had a ranger who was so upset when they attuned to this and couldn't take it off because they had to hope they rolled just high enough to hit the enemy, but not themselves every time they fired a ranger or fired an arrow.
Right.
So it's
Unless your AC is really high, you're gonna hit
exactly. So it's entertaining as well as functional, but more so for the DM to help manage some of the more insane creations, especially
Absolutely.
like I like to do with creatures.
So if Grimfeather had this, you might kill yourself.
You kind of reel it in a little bit.
Grimfeather would shoot it. Yeah, Grimfeather would shoot it, and especially with the Gloomstalker extra shot that gets that extra 1d8 damage. Yeah, if Grimfeather shot that and it comes back at him, he's having a bad time.
So you might want to. This might be the least effective against the new ranged paladin.
Yeah, because they could be wearing the heavy armor. You know, get the full plate mail going, get a shield going. They might not have too much of an issue with this ring that, say, a rogue would have wearing light armor.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. If Grimfeather came back and was like, "Hey, I'm a paladin now," it would kind of make sense that you had to leave for that.
Yeah, he had to go and learn a couple of extra things here.
Right.
Yeah, this guy was selling this thing, and I was just, well, like, how could I not sign up?
It was free.
Free shit. Get your free shit here. Free shit. You, sir, would you like some free shit?
So I definitely give that ring maybe 7 or 8 D20s out of.
I agree with that because, like, it's so annoying in a long game. I would say that the creative way to get out of it is just cutting off the finger.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of DMs, myself included, don't like to track ammo. So for that purpose, this is a little kind of redundant. But for the people who do like to track ammo, this is still a useful item.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I myself, as the DM, hate to track ammo.
Right.
So I usually don't worry about it, or I make sure all of my ammo users have like a magic bowstring that just summons arrows as you pull it back.
Right. Unless you have like, special arrows or special bullets or something. I normally don't list it.
Yeah, if you've got like walloping arrows or +3 arrows of exploding or something interesting like that, I don't worry about ammo. But this is just a really fun way to mess with your players for a little while.
I agree.
Which I find as a DM is because you're telling a story. You guys are telling a group story, and it's great. But you also need that little bit of extra happiness for yourself when you get to make your players question their choices, like automatically attuning to a ring they don't exactly know what it does. So I find players learn a lot more of consequences to their actions when you throw interesting things at them.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Like, for a really good example, when Orion threw the anti-bobble thing at us, it was amazing with the players. We took to it like candy. I mean,
yes. Who could forget the time that Dakota's character ate a candy and for 4 days became Johnny Two Cocks?
Yeah, or the person who changed races, or me, the Dragonborn, getting a wormhole in my nose.
Yeah, a little 3-foot cubic area of dimensional pocket.
Yeah, crazy. Got putting stuff up in there.
Auntie Bobble is by far one of the best encounters that I've put together. Heavily inspired by my first DM second DM that I ever had. He's a huge inspiration to how I do most of my DMing. And I have put together the Auntie Bobble stuff as a form of a roll table, and I want to feature it in our parody book.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because when the parody source book comes out, absolutely, like I want to have the Auntie Bobble thing front and center. because it's just so good. Ooh,
Actually, my character in your game there still has like 15 or so more days because he is addicted to Auntie Bobbles candies.
The addiction aspect is so good. I love the addiction aspect because every candy has its random effect, and they're addictive. And the more that happens, the worse things get. It's cocaine plus magic randomness. It's like if the deck of many things wasn't as bad, but it was also coated in meth.
Yeah. That kind of finishes up our main segment. We're already kind of doing it, but welcome to the free talk segment. So how are you guys doing? What was your weekend like so far?
I've been on the road a lot this week with the kids and
on
everything.
The road again.
Yeah, essentially. I've
actually.
Yeah. So Chris and I, before the show, we worked on a bit of a parody, got it all written out.
Oh yeah, I did see it in the chat, I think.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
I'm looking forward to making a music video out of that.
Oh yeah. Look forward to that, guys. It's gonna be great.
Which, as I let you know before, Ryan, for any music videos you need, of course, you're always more than welcome to come over, and I have my D&D set up, as you know, downstairs with my
absolutely.
D&D wall. So, yeah, I actually have a wall for D&D. It's a whiteboard that is also magnetic. So we have magnetic minis that we use. So we got a big wall for dungeon maps.
Oh, yeah.
So taking it from tabletop, putting it on a wall, just makes things a lot easier, and it's great.
So I meant to ask, I think I asked you a little bit earlier, but are you coming to tomorrow's session?
What time would that be?
About, we start around 8:30, 9.
Actually, you know what? Yeah, Grimfeather will come back on that.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, because we'll be exiting a underground section of the village, and we can meet them there.
Perfect. I'll actually work on Grimfeather getting that new level choice, figuring out what exactly he's gonna do there.
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting as a welcome back to the group. I do believe Shadow will be back as well, so we'll have pretty much the full party.
He missed last week, but you know what? It has been a bit since you've been a part of the game, since you kind of had to take your little hiatus. But we do record our episodes and post them to YouTube, so easy enough to catch up.
Yeah, and of course I'll do a run over of the last session and the few before for you and Shadow.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm excited for tomorrow's. You guys are getting the nitty gritty of it, at least a little bit. Got some interesting ideas for what comes next.
Awesome.
And if you guys do listen to our Grim Hollows sessions, thank you. They are quite fun and kind of all over the place a little bit, but the players seem to enjoy it.
I'm glad we decided to start recording. Usually, like the little fuck around time before we actually start the game is a lot of fun.
And unfortunately, I don't think we have the first couple episodes.
Yeah, it's what it is. You know,
easy enough to pick up on, I think. Especially since we have so many new players, they are loving it, and it's easy enough for them to learn. I feel
it's been a process learning how to use OBS just for that.
Yeah, true.
Oh, and when I had switched after my melee character died, my swashbuckler rogue.
Rest in peace, Percival.
Yeah, Space Percival. Cornelius Percival something. He had a long ass name. just like Percival Frankenstein von Mieselkowski Dorello III from Critical Role. Yeah, when I made Grimfeather, I actually also made him in such a way where Cornelius had to be right up against them, melee combat. Grimfeather can hit them from 400 feet back
Yeah.
because he has max range on his weapons due to the sharpshooter feat.
There you go.
If he grabs himself a longbow, he can hit from even further back. Like,
Well,
he's a sniper now.
He's got owl eyes, so that makes sense. But Sam, I wanted me and Chris, we worked a little bit on this parody. We want to give you like just a little bit of taste, like the first section.
All right, I'm listening.
All right. Do you want to sing it or should I? I think I'm getting better with my singing voice.
Just hold
We'll
on
have
to
you
your
do it, Orion.
All right. Maybe we could even add like a little backtracking post here.
Don't copyright us.
Nah,
Then
as
you
long as
know
I go yeah. Well, if you go for like 6 seconds, you can avoid copyright. Any more than that, then you get kind of fucked.
Well, with parody, actually, you can do the entire thing. Like Weird Al, he doesn't have to get permission for any of the things he does.
Very
With
true.
parody, you can do a full song. You can use the melody from the original song and sing the parody, and you can't get into any trouble at all, actually.
This is great intel.
It's good because at the rate we're going, we might just release a parody D&D album.
All right. We'll end up the show with this musical number from you two. How exciting.
Yeah. All right. DM's on a vacation far away. Come around and talk it over. So many games we want to play. I like my games a little bit longer. I just want to play a game tonight. I just want you to DM tonight. Yeah. We did the whole thing.
Amazing.
And I did a parody of the summer of '69, but I'm not going to do that today. That one's still not finished.
Oh man, I can't wait.
Someone's got to auto-tune my voice. It's not the best. Maybe got to hit the karaoke bar a few more times.
Anything else you guys want to say before we end up here?
I think we're good.
All right. As always, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode on Flumphs and free shit and everything in between.
All right.
We are Dungeons and Talkshows. Enjoy your weekend.